Hey guys, what's up? It's Untitled here, and in today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how you can build the Kuva Nukor in 3 different ways. The first way is a prime build to be used in conjunction with your melee weapon. The second build is a heat DPS build for Grineer enemies, and the third way is a magnetic and toxin DPS build for corpus enemies. So let's just go ahead and jump right into it. So the most common use of the Kuva Nukor is, of course, your priming, which you use to increase the damage of your melee weapon. We want to go ahead and get ourselves a magnetic Kuva Nukor because the Kuva Nukor base has radiation damage. And the idea is to apply as many status procs as possible to a bad guy because of the condition overload melee mod, which gives us plus 80% melee damage per status type affecting the target, right? So what we do is we get our magnetic Kuva Nukor by using a frame like Mag or Mesa to kill our Kuva larvalines. So we guarantee that the Kuva Lich that we get whenever they're dropping the Kuva Nukor, it guarantees that it's going to be a magnetic one. And then we go ahead and we throw on a viral and heat onto this Kuva Nukor by using Pistol Pestilence, Frostbite, and Scorch in this order, right? So Pistol Pestilence, Frostbite have to be beside one another more or less, and then Scorch has to be sort of like on its own type of thing. So what that is going to do is going to give you your viral and heat. It's going to increase your status chance. Then from there, we throw in a bunch of fire rate, multi-shot, and a little bit of punch rate, right? So lethal torrent for the fire rate and multi-shot, anemic agility for more fire rate, amalgam bar diffusion for more multi-shot, seeker for the punch through, and then sure shot just for even more status chance. We've got eject magazine on here for it to reload the gun whenever it's holstered, and then secondary dexterity is on here because it pairs very well with melee, right? So we have 7.5 second combo duration, and basically how high your combo is determines the amount of damage you're dealing with a melee build that looks a little bit like this one on the Nakana Prime, right? So I'm running Berserker Fury on here for attack speed, condition overload for damage, prime reach for range, glad might for crit damage, organ shatter for more crit damage, weeping wounds for status chance, blood rush for critical chance, and then prime smite corrupted because it just increases the amount of damage you're dealing by a ton, right? So the real goal with this is to not only apply as many status procs as possible, but also to apply 10 viral stacks to the enemy as fast as possible, because that is going to increase the amount of damage that your slash procs deal, right? So you want to be using a melee weapon that is high slash weighting, meaning the majority of its damage is coming from slash, right? And then we pair that with weeping wounds for the more slash procs, right? So that's going to scale up with your combo. So keeping your combo as high as possible on your melee weapon, super important because you get more slash procs from that. Of course, you get more crit from it as well, which is really nice. But we want to make sure that we're applying 10 viral procs as fast as possible, so it increases the amount of damage off our slash procs. Not only that, the amount of different procs that we've got on the enemy as well, which is why we weight into viral on the build itself, right? So we were running 34.3 and all the other numbers of the elements are a lot lower, right? So what you'll see whenever we go ahead and we hold left click on the bad guy here, we get those 10 viral procs more or less in no time, right? So there it is. And what you want to do from that point is just start meleeing the enemies, and you see how fast they actually die. The Kuva Nukor on its own does deal a lot of damage, but if you just pair it with a melee, the enemies are going to die so much faster, right? These are armored enemies, and it's just a slash weapon that we're using, and it's just, you know, shredding through them, right? It's a crazy strong combo, and it's kind of in the meta of Warframe right now, so that is like your go-to meta setup. It's pretty strong. So next up, what we have is a heat DPS build, and you want to be using this mainly versus Grineer enemies, right? We're running Galvanized Diffusion for multi-shot, Galvanized Shot for status chance, Frostbite and Pistol Pestilence for the viral, because it's just going to increase the damage that we deal to bad guys again. Primed Expel Grineer, so this is just damage to Grineer enemies. Lethal Torrent, Fire Rate, and multi-shot again. Prime Target Cracker, because this is just gonna like give you a massive boost of damage 7% of the time, right? I know that our crit chance isn't super high, but whenever this does kick in, it's just a big boost of damage, which is really nice to see. And then prime heated charge here for the heat damage that we've been talking about. Eject magazine on here because that's important. And then secondary merciless over secondary dexterity, because this is actually like a DPS build, right? So secondary merciless fits in here, right? So if we go ahead and we spawn in actual Grineer heavy gutters, right? So I have to despawn those guys. Heavy gutter. I said Exodus. We don't want that. Spotted these ones. Simulate. Wait until you see how fast this thing kills. Look how fast it builds up those heat procs, and look at the DOT that it does, right? And I let go of left click there. If I just hold on the left click and we start building up our merciless procs, the enemies die even faster. So remember that You want to be building up your Merciless procs to deal more damage. It essentially takes the place of, in this case, Fortnite Strike. So the more enemies you kill and the quicker you kill them, the more damage you're going to be dealing. So I'm just going to go ahead and spawn those guys in again. And you'll see with the Merciless stacks built up how fast you kill these enemies. So whatever you're playing regular missions, you're going to have a lot of fluff enemies to kill. So I wouldn't worry too much about like not having your Merciless stacks up. It's going to be quite easy to sustain in regular missions, right? So that's how fast that kills. And then we're more or less just doing the same thing with the Toxin magnetic version of the build, right? So Galvanized Diffusion, Galvanized Shot, Pathium Rounds, and Pistol Pestilence to stack the Toxin. Primed Expel Corpus, because that's what we're going to be using this against. Lethal Torque for fire and multi-shot. Prime Target Cracker, same deal. And instead of running the Primed Heated Charge, we're running an Anemic Agility for extra fire rate. Secondary Merciless again, and Eject Magazine because important mod, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and spawn in some Corpus Tech enemies. Like so. I'm pretty sure these are the guys that we should be tested against. But if you guys have better suggestions for like Corpus enemies to go against in the Simulacrum to test, feel free to leave suggestions in the comment section below. But here we go. Remember, we got to build up our Merciless stacks before we see the full potential. You need 12 Merciless stacks, I'm pretty sure. But even still, like, look how fast these guys die. Now, the Corpus are definitely a weaker faction. You need about, I would say, maybe 50 Toxin procs to just DOT the enemies down. These guys are level 180, so way beyond what you'd see in, like, the star chart. But like, it's just crazy how fast it kills, you know. This is the full Merciless stacks now. And these guys die super fast. And that's without, you know, using any, what's it called? Any actual abilities. Now, what we can do is we can swap out this and then go for Expel Corrupted like that. And we just go back to the regular heavy gunners that we usually test against. So Corrupted heavy gunners. There we go. Simulate these guys. And let's say we wanted to use like a damage buffing build, right? So I like using Sarin for that. It's like a nice Sarin build. So what we do here is we hold down our 1 for a corrosive buff. We hold down our 3 for a toxic buff. And then we use Eclipse for that buff right there. We stand in the light. And they die super quickly. So it's not even taken into account. So those other demonstrations weren't taken into account that you'd be using the likes of a damage buff build. You know what I mean? Pretty sure I'm not even in the... Yeah, I am in the light right now. Weird look to my Sarah right now. But yeah, crazy damage. Absolutely crazy damage from the Kuva Nukor. So it's not just a primer. You can definitely use it to DPS enemies down. It's really insane. I'm just going to go ahead and swap back on my Expel Grenier because that's mainly who I'm going to be using this against. But yeah, Kuva Nukor is one heck of a gun, you know? Like it could just kill it. You know what? I actually just want to go ahead and use the damage buff build versus the Corpus as well, just to see, because I don't think I've tried this before. So Corpus Tech. There we go. Let's go ahead and spot at the Exodus ones. Why not? Cool. So we hold down our 1, 3, 4. Kuva Nukor's out in the hands. And yeah. As expected, this thing just melts. It just melts. They're dead. That's not even... Well, now it is full Merciless stacks, but let's go again. It's not going to take long anyway. Well, 125 positive damage I've seen. I think it was. I don't know, dude. That's nuts. Everybody's like, oh yeah, you just build the Kuva Nukor for priming, dude. Yeah. It's still in the same weapon for dealing damage as well. Phenomenal. Crazy. Anyway, guys, that's going to be it for the video. Like the video if you liked it. Check out the Patreon for early access to Warframe videos. Subscribe for Warframe content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.